Hey everyone, it's 5 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and start because I want to show the infrastructure of the GPT using OpenAI's ChatGPT as the basis and the foundation of the real estate capital intelligence community. We'll have some of our operators will be joining us in progress. We had an extensive session last night, a little over 2 hours. So I had two one-on-ones today. So got a few things done. I want to show you guys a little bit of the infrastructure side of RCIC. Don't forget, Wednesday next week we will be going over basically the features, taking a distress intelligence a property and taking the information you get from distress intelligence modules into how to take it and how to then determine ARV, how to pull your comps, basically how to do the skip tracing functions, but you don't have to skip trace on this because you're going to get everything through tax assessors, and through the same process you actually get the distress intelligence data. I just got my 4 updates that I get. I get 10 a week, 3 on Monday, 4 on Thursday, 3 on Saturday through my agents. We showed how to deploy agents last week. I get those updates, so I know how to tweak them and access 35,000 foreclosures a month, nationally. So we kind of show that, but next week on we will show how to actually do all the deal analysis tools, do daisy chain detector. Then we're going to go into lender ops, and next week we'll be going into TC mode, transaction coordination mode. We'll be doing a whole night for rehab and scope of work, and we will be doing some other sessions. So cool. Hey, so got a couple of our operators that will be coming on. I'll introduce them. Hey Tanya, what's up? How are you? Curtis is coming on too.
Oh,
Hey, what's going on?
not too much. I'm ready for tonight.
Yeah, so tonight I'm going to show more of the infrastructure, and Curtis is just logging on. We just did about an hour and a half with us, just a one-on-one. So it's kind of good. I'm going to show the infrastructure tonight, just on pretty much on the GPT and the AI side, so that way people can kind of understand how to work, around the infrastructure of the because the real estate stuff is stuff we're going to be doing all the time. But I want everybody to be comfortable with how the how it works in the because we're using the Chat GPT and OpenAI as the foundation,
Yeah.
so that way people can know pretty much how to how to show where the apps are that people could connect. I made a PDF that I'll send to everybody afterwards on the apps that are actually in GPT. And there are apps everybody knows, Photoshop and all that, Zapier, Dropbox, and all that. I've got a guide to which ones are ideal for RCIC and what priority, and then I'll be putting that out as well. And then I need to also, from you, if you would like me to do a market guide for you, I can do one this weekend, probably get it done by the end of Sunday. A market guide is basically five, if you want to give me like 5 counties or five with some zip codes in your area. Maybe, you can even do fewer counties, more zip codes, however you want to do it. And I can put that together for you, Tanya, where you have,
Awesome.
it can guide you to what those AHJs that I call them, the jurisdictions. So I can basically map out which jurisdictions, and where they're, how to more easily, navigate and find, so that way you can start deploying your agents when you're ready. And we developed also, and Curtis and I just refined it, we're still working on it, is a prompt at the end of 7 days with that PDF too that I send out, a prompt that basically was telling everybody at 7 days I'm done onboarding, now I'm operating. So it's a big transition to go from that onboarding, putting all those steps in the onboarding PDF to the second PDF to like, now you're an operator, now you're actually running your business.
Yeah.
So we're
Oh,
putting a prompt
awesome.
together for that.
Thank you for that offer. I appreciate that. I will take you up on it.
Yeah, so yeah, just let me know and I'll try to get it done over the weekend. Saturday's going to be kind of iffy because normally I watch football on Sundays because the Broncos play, but their game is on Saturday. So I'm going to do work I'm going to flip the script, and instead of when I do my Sunday schedule, I work for a couple hours, then I watch football. And I do that Saturday. So all day Sunday, I'm going to be working on
Okay.
RCIC, and I'll be getting some of the stuff done for those who need market guides. That's just kind of a cheat sheet to your counties, and people can go find them on their own. But I try to put a list together where you can it makes it easier to navigate because you got a few things to learn in the first 30 days while you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Awesome.
Cool. Hey Curtis, all right, let me get you on board. Let me get you.
Yeah. Hi, Tanya. Good evening.
Good evening. I bet you're pretty excited. An hour and a half together, that probably was very productive.
Yeah, I felt very blessed that Nate gave me so much time today, and I think I needed every minute of it. But yeah, I feel pretty good.
And as you're explaining to me, like with the tax, because I kind of now that I kind of understand you're doing something completely different, you need to teach me like your taxes, your what you're doing, so I can better help you on the.
Maybe you should have like a little mini class for all of us.
Yeah, we'll try to put something like because I want to encourage that. I want people to like, hey, if you're really good in an area, really, or if
Yeah.
you're practicing, because eventually maybe you're going to be out there more. Like some people get out there, and they start getting comfortable talking to people, and like let's use this time to get people ready to go out and be able to present what they're doing because there's some people doing some interesting stuff. Curtis has some cool stuff he's doing that's different, and we got some. We had a great discussion about surplus and overbid stuff, which is unique, and it's very few people have ever heard of it. I didn't hear about it. I've been doing it this 8 years, and when first I heard about it was just in the conversation with GPT one time with the AI, and it's mentioned surplus and overbid, and that was how we talk about it becomes predictive. All of a sudden, it was like it was put up this, and I'm like, what is surplus and overbid? And I researched it. I'm like, holy crap! And then Curtis just told me something about it today that how it deals with tax liens, and I'm like, the federal government process is different than what you know. So there's a little bit of stuff that I learned doing this too that I'm like, holy crap! And I've got to be able to now put that into the system so everybody can take advantage of it because there's a lot of money that gets left on the table out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to help people. That people can make money helping people get out of avoid the foreclosures and stuff, and still make as you get all these skills. I mean, yeah, you go make a lot more money if you foreclose. If they foreclose, you get the property, you flip it or rent or whatever. But sometimes you can help people, and actually, sometimes some of the properties, it'll tell you like there's strategically, it can tell you, hey, this may not be an ideal situation for this, but maybe you can go make $5,000, $10,000 picking up helping them get out. You help them, and they keep their home or they keep their at least maybe they keep their still keep their credit, stuff like that. So there's some ways to do it, and that's all optional. There's some people that don't want it, may not be good at that, or they just and so we talk a little bit talk too about like having guardrails. Like I try to also when I know people are coming in, I try to kind of look at them like on how they react to people. Like I don't want to get like wholesalers that are all about just taking the property and screwing hey, they didn't pay their bills, I'm just going to take it and make as much as I can off them. I'm trying not to bring those people into the group if I can because I don't like I like people who want to be who have a little bit of empathy for people
Yeah.
that are in trouble because there's some people that just for whatever reason. I mean, there's like some deadbeats and stuff out there, but I think 90% of the people are still good people who made something happened. And I don't know. So we try to be careful. We try to maintain that. Hey Jesse, what's up going on?
Hello, still working.
Hey, you working tonight or what?
Yeah, I'm working.
Are you? Well, you look like you got your background. Are you at home or you at the office?
Oh, yeah, I'm at home. I'm in space.
Oh. Hey, guess who's gonna be
I've been
on?
accused of being there too.
Hey, guess who's gonna be on in 2 weeks, Jesse?
Oh,
Mr. Eisenberg.
oh, good. I was just talking to him. I was like, because I hadn't heard from him in a while. I said, man, this fucking guy better be alive still.
No, he's awesome. He's just doing what he's doing, dude. It's
Yeah.
I told you guys, Tanya and Curtis, you guys will love Ari. He's been around with us for 5 or 6 years. He's awesome. He's up building a business for some investors that he's going to manage their money for him, make some loans. I don't know. He probably told you about that too, didn't he, Jesse? What he's doing?
Um, I think I might have heard about it. I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah. Ari's fun. He's yeah. All right, cool. Let me go ahead and start this. I'm going to share a screen. Like I said tonight, we're kind of going to go off. I'm going to kind of go through the architecture of the AI and the GPT portion, not as much on real estate. And then next Wednesday we'll do deal analysis tools, ARV comps, and the tools of real estate investing. And then we'll get into lender ops and TC and rehab scope of work for one night, and then we'll do surplus and overbids in comms mode. we'll probably close out with comms mode, and that's when we'll have all the how to write correspondence and how to do the emails and how to do text messages and all that using the 100 influencers that I put in throughout history.
Nate, can you start out with a simple explanation of what is a GPT?
I'll ask it to explain it because it did it to me one time. I will ask it when I bring it on. Let me bring.
Okay.
Cool, you guys can see it. Cool, awesome. Let me know.
Yeah.
You know, anytime if like it was last night when I was moving around. That is one of the issues I have sometimes, and I also have to tell people. Sometimes I don't pick up right away. Like if I have to do an off ramp and on ramp, and I come back and it's not showing it on screen. So let me go ahead and put this in there. I'm going to ask it first thing. I'll ask it first thing. What does GPT actually stand for? Because it told me that one time, and it was like it made sense, and then I just forgot what it was after that. Because that's a good question. Live support on. Okay, cool. Okay, we have one question. So tonight, I know it's going to go a little bit non-real estate wise. I mean, I'm going to do some as I go, but I'm going to try to really help you guys understand how to use the infrastructure of OpenAI's ChatGPT product. What DB stand for? What is Stargate? How does Stargate? So I'll ask what GPT stands for, and I'll ask what Stargate is to explain it to you guys. Because, you know, part of it's also letting you guys know how much investment and how much is behind OpenAI. Because it's one of the biggest. I mean, it's going to go public this year, maybe next year at the latest, and it's going to be pretty substantial IPO in the hundreds of billions probably. It's going to be up there with the big companies. There you go. So G is generative, so it creates responses. So it's the generative pre-trained transformer. Curtis, that's what it stands for.
Okay.
Pre-trained, it's trained on a large body of language before you ever touch it. Transformer, the architecture that lets it understand context, patterns, and relationships. So the important part is for you guys to think is it doesn't think. It predicts the most likely response based on structure and context. That's why posture, prompts, and systems matter more than clever questions. So we get into Stargate to get it grounded. And I'm going to go through what I planned earlier, but I'm just going to kind of show you guys a little bit about why a lot of people want, you know, when we talked earlier, Curtis, on our call about like blowing up the business up and getting RCIC really out there, people can know that why I decided to go with OpenAI and ChatGPT compared to like when we talked about Grok or we talked about the other ones, Claude and some other ones that are out there, and why Stargate is its infrastructure, not intelligence, but the series. It refers to the massive compute, is what they call it, the infrastructure layers that supports large-scale AI models. So you think about like a power grid. So it's the power grid, like the power grid, not the appliance. It doesn't make decisions, find deals, or replace judgment. It just makes it possible for models like GPT to run at scale. So then, you know, RCIC doesn't care how big the grid is. We care how operators use intelligence responsibly with authority, structure, and control. So if we anchor it back to RCIC, GPT plus infrastructure is just capability. RCIC is what turns that capability into discipline. So, and then, you know, follow-up, you know, anything deeper than that is in engineering. Said what we're focused on here is operator behavior. So that's why it's still, you know, a lot of people are confusing AI is going to take over. As the humans, we still run it. We still are putting our prompts in there, our questions in there, our inputs. So when you guys are out there on Facebook and you tell somebody you're doing RCIC or any of that, and you can sit there and explain it, why it's different than what people are thought. Because a lot of the gurus are out there are probably not happy because literally, like I've said, we could actually end up with 1,000 operators. We can end up taking over a lot of. Because think about this: how many agents we deploy. If we have 40 and everybody is deploying maybe 10 of their agents every month to going out there and doing their distress intelligence, finding their probates, finding their foreclosures, finding the tax liens, whether they're IRS, DOJ, or what they are, or what you're doing, Curtis. Imagine that. That could be 10,000 agents every month going out there and hitting all those different AHJs out there. We could take a large segment of the major markets, the top 100 markets. So you can imagine what the top 100 markets are: Houston, Atlanta, Boston, things like that. And then eventually starting getting into sub-markets. The sub-markets are pretty much going to be by the people, not me. I'm trying to put the infrastructure in for 50 to 100 markets, so we have at least those working, and then people come on, and like I said, we got 7 people in Michigan. Well, they can go and then they can break out the sub-markets, which would be like Grand Rapids, Detroit, Ann Arbor, places like that. So that's where the sub-markets will come. But this kind of is how it works. So it's kind of cool like that. Okay.
Good. That makes it clearer.
Yeah. So it kind of just explains it a little bit how, what GPT is. Okay. Can we break down how the GPT supports RCIC and the operators own ecosystems that helps run their business, their real estate investing business. And so I have a few typos in there. It's actually very tolerant. I don't know if you guys are using it, or the ones that are using it will notice that. I try to fix it at least on the video so people see that I'm trying to fix it. But yeah, I found out it's very tolerant. It's never gonna get mad, hey, dumbass, kind of thing. It's like, hey, because I put 3 times that, sometimes I'll forget. Maybe I did something 15 minutes ago, or maybe I'll think of a different way to phrase it. When I started with it, and while it's doing this whole questioning, so my chats are starting to get a little bit congested. That's why it's a little slow, but it'll. So when I first started using it, I got there's a lot of little things like a lot of people have probably going through your heads right now about it. But it's very easy to use. It's almost like we talked about it earlier, Curtis, and I'll explain it for Tanya. And Jesse's been obviously on a lot now lately, and he knows obviously how I work. Is that it's you can a lot of people in Model 4, because we're in Model 5.2. We had 5. We'll eventually have 5.3. Don't worry about those, because those will actually automatically you'll be on a Friday, it's 5.2. You wake up on Saturday, it's 5.3. A lot of it was 4 in Model 4.0. By that time, a lot of people were using it for social interaction and all kinds of different things. You can think like people had anxiety, all kinds of different reasons. People were use it to write stories or books or things like that. And then when they wanted to go to Model 5, because all the business people, like Jesse and I have the business plan, if the business people wanted to be more business oriented and talk a little bit more in business, and there was some things called hallucinations where it would be off, meaning it would just throw out some stuff at random. Sometimes it would be related, sometimes it wouldn't be related. So they fixed that in Model 5. But then my people were upset in Model 4 because they were neurodivergent or something. All of a sudden they felt like they lost a friend, a relative. I mean, that's how people were. So you guys will read that from time to time, and you may hear that in some of the criticism. I found out, and you're probably finding out too right now, Curtis, is with the buy box. People always talk about buy box and or they talk about accuracy. How accurate? It's not accurate. It can't do this. It can't do that. It can do everything that they say it can't do, and it can exceed at it. Accuracy in RCIC is your buy box. It is the markets. That is where I tell people spend a lot of time on their buy box and kind of spends, because that is where the accuracy. If you have your market style in your buy box and you start using the tools and the agents, it's going to basically match to what any deals that come through. So we talk about Arapahoe County or El Paso County. You get those 84 foreclosure leads. Those 84 foreclosure leads might give you the 9 exact properties, the 9 exact deals you want, and then you can do whatever you want with those other 84. You might be able to wholesale them. And as we talked about earlier, the way we can do it with all the tools we have, there's a good way to actually go and make some extra income and cash flow by wholesaling them as turnkeys, because we have the ability to underwrite them, like you were talking about earlier, Curtis. So just, Jesse, I told Tanya this. Curtis and I just did about an hour and a half on a one-on-one, and we talked about that a little bit too. I'm like, go and try to help people. What if we can give people, instead of all these wholesalers that are all these young guys that are like, almost like, hey, we're just going to deliver the hammer and take these, go wholesale their house and make, not leave them anything on, on the back end, or not leave anything on the bone. So what if we can take these properties that come to us in these large volumes, that we can take them and we can almost wholesale them, but in a different way, where we can actually still help the seller who's probably being forced in a bad situation to lose a property, but also not, give somebody, these newer people in the real estate, their new real estate investors, better properties. You may not be interested. They don't meet your exact buy box, but they might meet someone else's. So it's kind of something we can kind of look through. So GPT supports the RCIC and the operator system. So I'm playing English. In English, we'll start with this anchor. It's not the system. GPT is the engine. So you think about it, it's the engine. RCIC is the operating discipline wrapped around it. So, like I said, it is the operating discipline that wraps around it. The GPT is your engine. So what GPT actually does for RCIC, it's an interpreter. It reads the language, the documents, the filings, and the PDFs. It extracts the meaning, the dates, the parties, and the authority. It does not decide what to do. It clarifies what exists. So you still make all the decision, but it's going to clarify everything, and it can dig deeper than you can deep. Think about like hitting up, I put in 123 Main Street, Anytown, USA, and I'm going to come up with 20, the last 20 times that property's been sold. I can pull up any liens against, pretty much any liens against it, but I can pull up all the tax information that went to the tax assessor in that county. Through all those AHJs, I can pull up quite a bit of information that the wholesaler's never going to give me. So I'm going to have that much more information that I can put in seconds. And I'm literally saying that, and as you guys will see over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see that as you take the distress intelligence, you take that NED, that document, that PDF with all the foreclosures on it, and you parse it, and your buy box parses it down, and then you feed it into deal analysis tools. You pull the comps, you do the ARV, the rehab and scope of work. You're going to find out that you can literally take an NAD that you off-ramp in, and you on-ramp it back in, you off-ramp back to the tax assessor to get the information that you normally would have to pay for skip tracing, on-ramp it back, and basically within about 2 hours you could have it all through the process and have it through lender match, have it scored, have it matched up to the lenders, and basically through comms mode, generate all your LOIs for your seller and generate the correspondence you need with the lenders, and basically have everything ready and packaged for as many properties as you can put into it. You can enter them into the overnight deal engine, which we'll talk about in the next couple of weeks. Willie was able to put 50 properties in the overnight deal engine, and he took his agents and they're able to actually connect all the agents. Even in some of the agents, like we were explaining last week, you still got to manually go to Arapahoe County and still have to go and download that PDF, or sometimes do a CAPTCHA or register. Hopefully nobody has to go through like Bill does and has to, when you have to pay. That was the first time I've ever seen where anybody has to ever pay for any information. But then you on-ramp that stuff back. You can tie those agents. So the next agent you have does your deal analysis. The next agent pulls your ARV and your comps, gets that already. You have another agent that can do your rehab and scope. As long as you don't go over 40 agents, you can tie the overnight deal engine together, and you can do up to he did 50 properties. He's a capital connector and private money broker. He was able to generate 50 properties and have it all go. Then he put the list in. He had to generate the list. But once he put that CSV in, literally he woke up the next morning and they were all processed and ready to present to his clients. And he was actually really happy with the results. So we're going to talk about the overnight deal engine in the next couple of weeks, and get everybody using that, because it's a way to do mass help a lot of people. And Curtis, we'll sit down and we'll do another one-on-one, or we'll figure out how to connect the overnight deal engine to what you're doing, so you could do a lot more mass, where it's doing a lot of stuff for you. Hey Fred, what's going on?
Hey, Fred.
Cool. Hey, we just started, so good timing. We've got about 10 minutes, but we were just showing real quick before I move on. I'll just kind of show you. I'm just going to step out for a second. I just want to show Fred this. So, because people have asked, Curtis asked what GPT stands for. So it's Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And so it's generative, it creates responses, pre-trained, it's trained a large body of language, and transformer the architecture that lets it understand context, patterns, and relationships. So as we talked about, it doesn't think, it basically does all the analysis and all that, but it doesn't actually make decisions. You're still making the decisions. So everything you want to think about is GPT is the engine, and it's the interpreter. So it's pretty cool that way. That's what we're kind of talking about tonight. We're talking about the infrastructure really of GPT and AI, of how everything works, and then that way it helps everybody understand how RCIC is basically supported. So it has a router. So once something is interpreted, GPT helps route it. You got the off ramps like we showed last night, thinking about it as interstate highway. You got the age lifetime. You never have to worry about it again. But those are private roads. Those are private lanes now that only RCIC operators can use. So it's pretty cool that way. You got your HJ lanes, and then you got your pause versus proceed. As you get further into RCIC, you'll see that it's like a stop sign or stop light. It's red, yellow, and green. If you get all greens, you're good. It's going to score. All the scoring systems are 0 to 100. If you get any red lights, you're pretty much the deal's not going to go through unless you do a lot of work on it. A yellow is like caution. You're probably going to have to do some massaging, some work, but you can get them to change to green. So think about that as a color coding system. RCIC tells GPT when to slow you down, not when to speed you up. So it's cool. So you are always in command. Just like today, Curtis, when we were talking about that prompt, it's like you can pretty much tell it when you're ready to be an operator versus being an onboarder. So at the 7-day portion, really with PDF2, you want to tell it, hey, I'm ready, I'm done onboarding, got everything done with the onboarding process. Now I'm operating. And then by that time your business is in full bloom. Everything you're doing. So it's a constraint enforcer. So GPT works best when it's told what not to do. And RCIC gives it boundaries. It actually learns more from no's than it does from yeses. No demos, no execution, no scraping, no guessing. So you can say without constraints, GPT becomes a chatbot. With constraints, it becomes a control layer. So you are in full control of everything that goes on. If it gives you a repeated answer, you can go in and shut it down. I mean, it literally tell it, hey, I'm an operator now. I'm not so you don't have that problem. It's where it, kind of drones on and keeps trying to keep you in the same task. How this supports the operator's own ecosystem. So this is where people usually get it wrong. So you want to keep it simple. And we operate under the KISS as keep it simple, smart, or some people call it keep it simple, stupid. Like everything we're trying to do at RCIC is trying to keep it simple. We want to try to keep everybody on our end. People outside of it are going to think it's really complicated, but then they're going to sit there and go, how come these people get more deals done than anybody else? Because you guys got a ton of information, a ton of access. It can dig deeper than you could ever dig. It digs faster. Think about, it'll go through it. Once you guys start doing searches, you'll see the searches up here, like under the chat model, where it says ChatGPT 5.2. You'll see it actually start searching, and it'll search like 25 or 30 things. You see all the, when it's searching like counties and stuff, it'll say like it's going to the sheriff, it's going to the public trustee. It's flashes, but you see it. It is always going to show you the sources. That's going to show you, and those sources are your off ramps. And then remember your on ramps. Your on ramp is just back to RCIC. That's all. But the off ramp is like an interstate highway when you're going and there's Motel 6, there's Denny's, things like that. There's Cracker Barrel. There's the world's largest ball of string. Those little things you drive by in like Kansas and Nebraska. So you see all those. Those are your off ramps, are all your destinations, and you just go there quick and you pull that PDF in seconds and you're back to RCIC, and then you can process it. So it's the ecosystem is not GPT centric; it's operator centric. So GPT is thinking plus interpretation, apps, storage, memory, and signals. Operator is authority and approval. You always have authority and approval. It's your system. So your ecosystem isn't one tool, it's how tools behave together under your control. So where the apps fit. So you don't need to list all of them again. Here's the pattern. Drive, Evidence Lives, Airtable. So that's Google Drive. Airtable, where state lives. Zapier, signals move to Zapier. Calendar, time is your enforce. You got Google Calendar. GPT, meaning and routing. Operator is permission. All the permissions come from you. And I don't have, so it's pretty cool how to do it. Apps don't make decisions, they hold things in place so decisions don't fall apart. So, number 5, as we get through this and everybody's through their first 30 days, you guys are really comfortable. We've completed these 7 weeks, we've got 5 more to go. Why you want to build your own GPT within ours, and you'll be able to do that. Over here it says GPTs. In yours, it'll say Explore GPT. And I encourage you guys to go and explore that in the next couple of weeks at your convenience, and you'll go and you can see all the different kinds of GPTs that are out there. They're for everything, entertainment, all kinds of stuff. We'll eventually have you, that's what you want to do is build your GPT around everything you do. It has to be 8,500 words or less. And it basically, you put in your entire system, how it runs. You could do a public one and a private one. The private one, you provide the link to people. They can only access the links. Public one could be listed on OpenAI's directory, and you could put stuff out there for, it could be trying to find sellers. It could be trying to find more buyers. You can actually then have people connect with your GPT and get all the resources that they need. If they're a buyer or a real estate agent, whatever they are, you could do 2 or 3 GPTs. But we're encouraging everybody to use all the resources that I've put in and that I put in are yours. You can do whatever you want with them. You can monetize them. You have freelance. You're an owner already of your ecosystem. So you pull in whatever resources you need at any time. I just say I ask people to try to 30 to 45 days really to get comfortable, make a decision, and I'll jump on a one-on-one and you'll build your GPT and I'll be on it. I'll help you guide you through it. And then, like I said, we get 1,000 operators is my goal. We have 1,000 GPTs out there. Imagine that for real estate investing. Everything at some point goes through RCIC and our operators. So this is the vision moment. So eventually every serious operator will have their own GPT, not because it's fancy, but because their rules, markets, and risk tolerance are different. Everybody here is doing something different. And your risk tolerance is different, your experience is different. If we had 1,000 people, who knows? Not everybody will probably, at some point, not everybody will know each other the way they do now. But it's ideally that I don't think we'll ever have that many systems that are identical. And I think that's a good thing because not everybody, like I said, this is the first group. I think it's the one that I built, and Jesse, you probably can back me up because you've been around the longest, almost 6 years, over 6 years. We have people that do everything, and it was the way that this all was built when we had private money authority, and we did the associates group and all. It's the same way. Is that we have people that are multifamily, people that are lenders, people that are wholesalers, which is good because in these Facebook groups and these Zooms, people can meet, and we might have a lender, we might have a wholesaler, might have a TC, might have a couple flippers, might have a couple renters, a couple people doing tax liens. Well, that group could do a lot of deals together. And that's another idea. Somebody, even though they can't see what you're doing on your GPT and in your ecosystem, you guys get to meet on the Zooms. You're all across the country and people do similar things. So everybody has the same common goal. At least a common goal that everybody at least wants to, income and cash flow and building some wealth are usually the 3 things that most people in real estate are trying to do. Get time back, spend time with their family, their own hobbies, things like that. All the reasons, all the cliches. So I think that's really important to stress that this covers everything. And if you want to learn something, if you want to do something that's different, or you get a deal that you want to pursue, but now you can pursue it because you don't have to go and learn about it. You can actually have RCIC teach it to you and have all the resources at your fingertips. So you don't lose that deal. You might actually get a deal that you may not ever get again. Because maybe you all of a sudden a mobile home park comes in, hey, oh crap, that's a really good deal. Maybe I'll go buy that, I'll get it, restore it over 2 years, and then I'll flip it. There's all kinds of opportunities that present yourself when you can be this flexible. So you have this all at your disposal. So RCIC isn't trying to be everyone's brain. It's teaching people how to build disciplined brains. So, and it basically does a lot of stuff for you. The 1,000 operator future. So my goal is to have 1,000 people in this. because I think that gives us the ability to deploy 10, 40 agents. We can deploy 40,000 agents, but we could put 25%. And don't remember, you're not putting them in for the entire for the group. You're putting them in for yourself. So at that point, yeah, you can be selfish with, you got your 40 agents, but if you're putting 10 out there or 15 or 20 out there to bring you opportunities, deals, distress signals, foreclosures, evictions, probates, all those, it helps having that many out there, because then we can pretty much be, across as many jurisdictions as possible. And that helps us bring in, if there's 35,000 foreclosures nationally, what if 1,000 people can do 3 or 4,000 of them? And we're getting the top deals, and we're getting them, like I said, at 9 o'clock in the morning. The NED is released. It's a public document, public record. Imagine having that many people that have that kind of access, and everybody has 100. Most people are going to have between 90 and 120 days to pursue it. The people that want to do early, like, Fred, I know you want to do early, and you'll be able to, because it's always been able to do that. Now I've actually kind of formalized with the EDI, the early detection, intelligence. People have access to unbelievable. They don't have to wait for PropStream and Deal Machine, Goliath, Batch Leads, and all them to process it. They're running that. They're selling it. They're selling that information to 50 to 100 people. That same lead. Those people are going to start calling. So here you get the distress signal at 9 o'clock in the morning. You got 110 days. You probably got 30 to 45 days where you're the only one that has that contact. That's a real estate.
Nate, I have a question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that those services like PropStream and Batch, that they'll start accelerating also, and that their information is going to get better and better, faster?
I think so. I think they're trying to, but I think that they're going to still. So on your end, where you're not so think about if you're a client, somebody who's buying the list from them or the information, are still getting it filtered and gated through them. Whereas you, right now, you're an RCIC, you're actually able to get that. Because I don't know too much. I've tried to find out how they, they may get it to different points, and they may have it, but at some point it's still filtered, it's still gated. They're still selling that same lead to 50 people or more. So at that point, you got to figure that the person that's getting foreclosed on is probably getting a ton of phone calls or letters or yellow letters. So what we're talking about trying to do is give everybody the moment that, if you have this, if you're a person, like you are an individual, how much better you can customize that response, build that relationship and trust with that person that may be losing their home. Whereas all of a sudden, 30 days down the road, by the time that they've filtered through their process, all of a sudden now they're getting bombarded. So we're really just talking about giving everybody more time to actually build that trust. And we'll talk about that more in the comms mode night, because I have comms mode and I put in 100 influencers through history and different people. And there's some people that are really empathetic, and there's some people, and I got it not just in real estate investing and business, but I also got people that are military, people that are entertainment, people that are in sports, and people of history. JP Morgan is one of them, things like that. So you can actually match up hey, I need really empathy. Well, you might want to tap into Chris Voss. So the AI has learned all these different personalities through all their writings, all their history, because they're all public figures. And basically you could customize a letter maybe written as Peyton Manning would write a letter to somebody. And it's kind of cool, and it was kind of a novel concept, and I've really liked where it's going. I'm going to give it to you guys at the last session, probably at the end of February, where we talk about comms mode. And about a week before that, I'll show you guys where to get the information in the system, where those personalities are. It's pretty cool. So we're trying to give you, like I said, it's really buying you time to go and that person. You think about this. Those people have now been served. They've been served, so they know they're getting foreclosed on. They've been given the papers. So it's a good time to then reach out, and you've got 110 days probably before the foreclosure sale to work with them, whereas you're not having to go buy a foreclosure at a foreclosure auction and you're having to show up and bid. You've got time to do all your due diligence, pull all the comps, use the AI to pull. We're going to show that next week, how to pull comps and how to do your ARV, how to do all the traditional skip tracing, because you no longer have to do skip tracing with a third party. You can actually off ramp back to another AHJ, the tax assessor, and pull that information in. Plus, you've got all the information in the the notice of election demand, or what they call the list pendings, which are for the judicial process. You've got all the information already because they've been served, so they have to. You've got the access to the mortgage company, the lien holder, and their law firm. So you've got a lot of ways you can go and approach this. You can start out with the homeowner, try to make a deal with them, but if you have to, you can go to the mortgage company or their lawyer, their law firm, and say, "Hey, I'd like to make an offer on this property," to help both the lien holder and the homeowner who's losing their property can both get help. And at some point, the mortgage company might be willing to do a short sale or something with you. So, like I said, it's just every one of those companies seems to probably have a different way to get the leads, and they're probably doing some of the same things or scraping. I'm just saying what we've done is this is leveling the playing field for everybody that's in the organization, because now you as an individual, and now the question is, can you actually go get this without ever having to use RCIC? Yes, but can you do it in the volume that you can do it with this? No. I think people can actually do this at a much higher volume and be able to do these different steps and these modes that we have, where you can sit there and go through the entire process, because not only can you do all the deal analysis, you can pull all the distress intelligence, you can do everything, but you can also then access all of the lenders we have. We're going to talk about lender stuff in 2 weeks from Wednesday, and we've got 19,000 contacts. 5,000 these are contacts, not total firms. There might be like 10 contacts in a firm. 5,000 are private lenders and hard money lenders. The rest of them are like family offices, hedge fund, pension funds, endowment funds. And Jesse can tell you about all the stuff we've had in the past. I have databases. They're all very. So you guys will actually have access to that when you get into lender mode. You take the entire deal from pretty much like a cradle to grave approach, and you basically can get it all the way through lender mode. It's going to match up and say what 10 lenders in our databases can do this deal. Now they're in databases. We don't have some of them, like some of the people we meet in the group. We do have lenders. We do have private money brokers in the group that you'll meet. I mean, you can meet them in the Facebook group. You can meet them on the Zooms. But you'll be able to say, hey, there's 10 lenders right now. Comsmo can help you prepare, can help you get all the materials together for those lenders that you want, and it'll walk you through how to build your package. So, every 90 days you want to work on your package, and that's all your information, the stuff that every lender is going to want. So you always maintain it. Every 90 days you try to update it, and you can schedule it through there's different tools, apps and stuff we'll talk about, where you can actually Google Calendar and stuff like we talked about, where, hey, I've got to update my bank statements, things like that they're going to ask for that kind of information. But you got that many lenders, so there's no system that I've found yet that does everything. And it wasn't until
Nate,
yeah.
Going back to kind of what Tanya was, I think, referring to with the list that you could buy. Through RCIC, we can manually create lists by going to the AHJs and maybe batch load. But the difference, it seems, that, and I'm not familiar with the list that you buy, but they're presented to you on a silver platter eventually. That what you buy, you're getting everything that you would like to get through RCIC, but it's just you purchase some formatting and a completion, a level of batch level that you can process easier than going out to get it. And I'm just wondering, do you know how they put those lists together? How they present to you a silver platter list?
Well, it depends on the companies. They call them filters, and I can show you some of their websites. But they have filters. What are you looking for? And they filter down. Are you looking for foreclosure? It's the same things you're doing into your buy box. Your buy box here is basically what their filters are, kind of, and it's like the buy box filters down. So when you get those 84 foreclosures out of El Paso County, Colorado, it can pull it. Basically, their filters are your buy box. The difference.
I guess what I'm didn't express right. They have to meet the same constraints that we do. You go to the AHA, they have to go to the AHA. There's only one way to get that information from the horse's mouth. So how do they produce such a polished product where we have to create that product?
Well, the reason is because they're selling it to you. They're selling to their people at like $500 or $600 a month in some cases, depending on the package, and they're having to meet the filters that the customers tell them that what they're looking for. So when you're able to put your buy box together, their customers are telling them what they're looking for for filters. That I'm looking for a 3.2s, that I'm not looking to do a lot of rehab. I'm looking for light to cosmetic rehab, those kind of filters. And they have to sell it to 50. They have to sell those leads to 50 people, and some of their expenses probably in their staff, having to go through and package all that. Take that raw data like you guys are getting, and it's not very flexible because, like we were saying earlier on our one-on-one, you can go right now, Curtis. You can go to your buy box and you can make a change right now. If you're in Deal Machine, you got a subscription. You've got to go through your rep, your contact, your account manager there, and have them do it. It could actually affect your subscription rate because maybe you've got to go to a different plan. Maybe you're at the $199 level a month plan, and you've got to now go to the $299 level plan. And keep in mind, they're selling that same lead to 50 to 100 people that may be down the line, because think about this. So let's say Repo County comes out at 9 o'clock this morning. They're not sending that out today. They've got to go and filter it, go through their process, and package it to the ways the different clients order it, because they do an onboarding. Theirs is like an onboarding call. What are you looking for? I'm looking for 3.2s. I don't want to do a lot of rehab. I want this. I want this many days on market. They have those parameters that they set with their clients, and that they lock it in. You can't just go at 2 o'clock in the morning and go, hey, this is looking like, because RCIC comes back and tells you you're in 80916, which is in El Paso County, but 80197 next to it is hot right now, because there's a lot of, maybe for some reason, who knows why it's hot. It's going to tell you that. But you now can go and say, now I want to do 80917 as a zip code in my markets. And it's going to change that on the fly. So your next report on your NADs is going to be 80917. So you're able to do this all on your own. And obviously the biggest thing is people pay it's one time. It's not $5.99 a month. Some of these packages are.
I'm not trying to compare it at the cost level. I'm trying to compare it at the nuts and bolts. Let's say we have Washoe County, which is all manual, one thing at a time, has to be downloaded PDF. They still have to do the same thing.
Yeah. But they have to.
There's no way to get around that.
Yeah, and they're doing it with staff. Well, you're doing
Okay. So they have to meet the same hurdles.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, they don't. I don't think they have the same arrangement. I went to Jefferson County and talked to the actual county clerk who runs the whole thing, and told them what I was doing, because I was like interested in what their perspective was, and they told me that it's the same. That everybody gets it the same way. Like they don't have a package where they deal stream, because they would have to do it everywhere. What you guys will see a lot of times is people will say, you'll see this out there, we have real-time live MLS data. No one has real-time live. I mean, there's some MLSs that'll do APIs that'll let them do. Privy is probably the one that's most honest, and I know Benson personally. He lives in Denver, so Benson probably runs Privy's probably the best out there. They only do residential. They really don't. They don't do anything commercial. But with Privy, they do have relationships with some MLSs, not all of them, because a lot of the MLSs won't sell data to people that aren't real estate agents, that aren't licensed. So a lot of these people are out there selling, I got real-time MLS data. And I don't see it like Deal Machine and PropStream. It's a lot of people doing that are list sellers. The guys that are out there on the Facebook telling people, hey, they go down, there's a guy that has a whole Facebook group, and he lists the 20 different lists that he has, and he's already broken down all the lists and said, if you want foreclosures, if you want people that are just recently divorced. And I'm going through like, okay, what do you do there to determine that people just got a divorce? Or probate might be easy. You can go to the obituaries. But that would seem like it would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You guys are setting your markets, you're setting your buy boxes, and you're getting that information like right as it gets released. if not sooner, because we can do early intelligence, where we can go through and find the people that are late. But you're able to get everything. Like I said, you can change on the fly, and I'm saying a big benefit. My whole selling benefit a lot of times is, these people are paying $5,000 or $6,000 a year, and it's like, it's for what you could actually. And like I said, you could go to these counties individually and do it manually. Where RCIC can actually take it and put it through the agent, have the agents. You can hand off to the agents. Agents can hand off to each other, and you control the process. It's just a different way to. It's probably not one. I mean, I could ask it to explain its version of it, but really, like I said, it just comes down to the level of access. You guys have direct access to this raw information, and you get the AI as it becomes predictive, and it basically then parses it down to your exact needs. So it's like you don't have to go and have PropStream have their staff go through all these and tell you here's 50. You're buying 50 this month. You got 100. Then you got to go skip trace them. So you're able to just get it down to. I think it's a lot more efficient. Like I would not want to get leads when it's controlled, because I can change everything. I like to change things on the fly. 2 in the morning. You guys will see. I mean, if you get to know me, sometimes I post stuff at I wake up in the middle of the night and I post something. It's like, and I try to, it's something that I think will help everybody. It depends. Sometimes I'll post it just where you guys can see it. Sometimes, most of the time, it's out there like, hey, there's 35,000 foreclosures. It's like, who wants to go get these foreclosures? Because they're out there.
I was just thinking about if the first person out of the starting gate is important for your business model, then you're really not behind the curve if you're not subscribing to these lists, that you're still at the starting gate on any AHA foreclosures at a given county, just the same as any other company.
Yeah.
We're all starting at the same moment.
Yeah, it's just I just don't. I think more people will come around to the idea that they get everything. I mean, you're at the starting point, but you don't have a company gating it. You don't have a vendor gating it, and controlling it. And what happens if they go out of business? What happens if they do anything? Sometimes it affects your subscription rates, or if you got to go pay for skip tracing. So here you can go, well, maybe somebody likes to do some of the manual work. Well, now they can do what they. This gives everybody flexibility to do it there. It's like Burger King. The whole commercial, if you do it your way. I mean,
well, we're designing the gate with RCIC.
Yeah. I mean, you are literally in this line right here, line 7. GPT gives capability, RCIC gives control. It's that operators give judgment. It's you guys are making the decisions. So we're talking about how it behaves. We'll quick go to, I'll show you guys a couple things. I kind of showed this a little bit last night too. And you guys will see on the left side, and I'll go through these tomorrow and I'll post them in the Facebook group. But I got my updates today. These ones over here that say Thursday market update and top 25 actionable opportunities, top actionable Colorado distress opportunities, and the 7-day distress. Those are those updates that I get I get 4 of them on Thursday. I got 2 of them before I did our session, Curtis, and 2 after, and it gives me all my data and stuff, and I get those and. Those come from the agents that I deploy. I'll go through them later, and I'll this weekend I'll put them out there and show you guys. I'll do some PDFs on them. But those are what I get out of my agents. So think about this: if I get a top 25 actionable opportunities, it's taking my buy box and all my information I feed into it, and it comes back with what's the top 25 actionable opportunities that meet my buy box and my criteria in my markets, and it's giving me a lot of good information. So I'm able to take that 25 and, hey, that might be exactly what I'm looking for. Maybe I don't even have to spend any time going anywhere else. So it's just, this totally gives everybody just absolute flexibility and control. So you want to go to your Ask Anything. Keep in mind, you guys won't see in yours, obviously I'm developer mode. You guys won't see that unless you have the business plan, and you guys won't see company knowledge. That's what we tell it, what our company is. It's RCIC and all that stuff. That's where it remembers stuff about when I start new chats. And like we were talking about earlier, you guys want to definitely start chats and use projects as well. Projects really, I tell people chat. It doesn't really matter. I just was using chats because I was doing this casually while I was trying to build the ecosystem to feed it to a developer to build the websites, the static websites that would be completely inflexible compared to this. So you guys, like I said, as it starts cluttering up, you'll see like sometimes you'll see that little like flashing thing up here, and my screen is blank. It's actually populating my screen. It just sometimes it's like it's a buffering. And this is a new chat that actually started this morning, so I don't think I'll have to leave work my way around the Zoom. So you want to go to more, and you can go to Canvas, which is your screen here. You can access Google Drive and Dropbox, and you got agent mode. That's agent mode at the top is where you deploy your agents, and you get 40 of them a month. So the agents can go out there and, like I said, they can bring you those reports like that are in my chat. But I go to Explore Apps. And this is what we did earlier, Curtis. Let me try to find Zapier for you. And I'll try to point you if it's where it's at in here. Because I know I've seen it. It'd be... Oh, no. You know what it is? Curtis, you know where it is?
No.
It's it's up. It's supposed to be like right. There's Google Drive. Airtable's right there. I know I saw Zapier in there. Is GitHub, Prospect, Google Drive. It should be right there. There was Zapier because I saw it the other day. I'll find it because I know Zapier's in here because it brings it up. But we made a list of all the different the apps that are in here because obviously there's Job Form if you want to build forms. You guys got access to Credit Karma and TurboTax, and if you want to do any marketing campaigns and mailing, you can connect your Mailchimp. But I mean, it's Netlify. If you want to build a website, it can help you build a website for Netlify. It's pretty cool. You can get a domain. You can cook up a domain. It'll build it. All kinds of cool stuff. But Zapier's in there. There's Stripe, Uber Eats, and all that. I know it's in here because I've been here. Zillow. You got Zoho and Zoom. I just have to find Zapier for you because I know I've seen it. Because some things I was talking about. That's how I learned about it. I didn't even know that much about Zapier before I was doing this.
I have a question about going back to projects on the left-hand side, and then the agent mode. Let's say your business model, you want to process foreclosures. Could that be a separate project? Is that how you use projects? And then the other might be surplus proceeds, like you were talking about earlier. That could be a separate project.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, because I just started using chats before I really knew anything that I know now. What I didn't know 1,000 hours ago.
Okay.
So you can use.
And then agent mode, each agent would be attached to a project or a chat.
You can, but your agents will be like, "Hey, go to Arapahoe County, Colorado, and bring me, connect me with the foreclosures with the Neds from Arapahoe County, Colorado."
The agents have a definition of what their job is.
Yeah. So think about it as an employee. They're just going to go out and it's going to do the work, and it's not going to. In some cases, like we were talking about, it's going to give you the little off ramp, the little link. You click on it, it goes to the Arapahoe County, and you may get the list there, and you may actually do the pull a Word document or it's a PDF usually. And there's 3 different types of lists. There's a pre-sale list. There's also a list for continuances, just like court continuances. Somebody needs more time, they ask the judge, or in this case, it's a foreclosure, and they ask the public trustee for. Maybe they're going to intend to file a cure to cure it. But yeah,
you find their job.
And you got 40 of them a month. Like I said, if you use how many counties you got, divide it by if you want more tasks. If you're doing foreclosures and you're looking at tax liens, you could use 2 agents in 5 counties, or counties and zip codes. So everybody remember, counties and zip codes are more important than cities and states because it's going to pull those up right away. 90% of these real estate deals, this information is kept at the counties, county clerks and stuff. Very few of the cities. The exceptions are like city and county of Broomfield, city and county of Denver. things like that. Obviously, I talked about Denver. Larger cities like Orlando and stuff may have a lot more than, say, the county, Orange County, Florida. So you guys want to kind of learn that counties and zip codes are crucial for your searches and your tasks. Let me try to see if I can I'll find Zapier for you, but you can. I mean, we'll find it. I'll just
that's okay.
Yeah, and I'll look tomorrow for you on it when I get a little time. Because I made a whole guide that I haven't put out yet. I'm refining it, and I'll put out a PDF tomorrow there's 12 apps that are supported in here that you can connect that we for real estate investors. That are ideal, and not everybody has to get all of them because some of them you don't need. There's also a couple that aren't in here, and I'll give you a couple that aren't that are also free, like Company Cam is great if you're out there taking pictures of projects or rehab and stuff, and you can connect an app, and there's a free version and a paid version, and I started using it back when I was in construction before I was ever doing this 8 years ago, and I take a lot of pictures, and I could send them to insurance adjusters, and it organizes things. Well, now I could go and actually connect Company Cam to this, and I can import all my pictures. And like I was saying, rehab and scope of work mode, we show you that night. I'll show you some things where you can go in there and it can detect molds and water damage and code issues. Like, hey, that is not a GFCI outlet. Wouldn't you like to know that before you buy the house, that it's not up to code and you got a lot more work to do? And then you're like, hey, I'm not going to buy that one. Move on to the next one. New chat. Let me see if I can trigger. I'm going to see if I can trigger Arapahoe County. I'm going to go to one of these chats early. This is the fastest way. Let me stop sharing and then reshare again so I can make sure you guys can see it on screen. Okay. Okay, can you connect? Can you off-ramp? Try to use the right terminology. Keep in mind, everybody, I created the on-ramp and off-ramp terminology. So if you see anybody out there saying that, they probably were seeing me do it. Off-ramp, aka connection or link to Arapahoe County Colorado HJ for foreclosures. I'll put NUD and tax liens. Let's see if tonight I can trigger it where I can go and show it exactly how to go to Arapahoe County. Jefferson County they just now, I think they're completing their IT install this week, so it was down. Because I hit a 404 when I went to that the other night. Everybody's like, "Hey, that looks like they came up blank."
And when you just sent that agent out, you didn't go to agent mode. It's acting as an agent?
No, I'm not using an agent. I'm just going directly to show you guys.
Okay.
You have an agent go to Arapahoe County for me every week. But I didn't use an agent there. I just went in my prompt bar. You can do the same thing. You can, just like I just did. Here's the off-ramp. Links to authorities. Here's Arapahoe County, Colorado. Like we talked about. I'll give you this because since we talked about that earlier today in our session. So public trustee is the controlling AHJ for Arapahoe County. In Colorado, public trustee is the authority that handles foreclosure processes on deeds of trust in Arapahoe County. They manage notice of election demand, filings, and set sale dates under Colorado foreclosure law. So here's them. It's going to give you the Arapahoe County website, so push comes to shove. Because early on, I was able to not click on it, but I was able to go and copy and paste and put it through my Google or my browser and go directly to it. Later on now, it can go directly to it. So this has the legal definition of the foreclosure and the public trustee's role in the process. It's got the document source for foreclosure notices, foreclosure search, arapahogov.com. These are the off-ramps. So keep in mind, everybody, these are the off-ramps just like the interstate highway, just like that photo I showed you guys. So you get the weekly notice. They have the pre-sale list, which is what you want to get as a pre-sale. And I'm going to go to it in a second. And then they have a continuance list. And the continuance list is, like I said, it's hearings or sale dates that have been moved or postponed or, for some reason, it could be even a public trustee is on vacation or something gets said, and for any reason they get moved around, the dates, they do a continuance. Election, the notices, and then the pre-sale list. And then reporter list for election demand by date. you can go and you can pull all kinds of information. They have the clerk and recorder in Colorado's and the counties is where the public trustees are. They work for the clerk and recorder, who's an elected. In Colorado, the clerk and recorders are elected. You guys may have heard about one clerk and recorder is in prison in Colorado for election stuff. Yeah, that's a side story. But yeah, that's in Colorado. So you can go to here and you can get the grantor, the grantee, you can get the document type, and you can get the date range. So that helps when you get a foreclosure notice is recorded and you need the official record. Arapahoe County for tax liens, the Arapahoe County treasurer is the AHJ for tax lien sales. So you're going to go to the treasurer so it's going to be a separate off ramp, but it's in the same building. And then you go to get the tax liens and you get IRS, DOJ. They also have all the old ones that nobody's probably interested in, like, contractor liens and stuff, HOA liens. So that's a different process to the tax lien sale. But I can actually make a PDF and show you guys this, but let me try to go directly to it to kind of show you guys the Arapahoe County.
I'm still confused about the agent. Do you name your agents and then keep them in a list? And have each agent have a set of instructions that under that name, that agent knows what to do?
Yeah, because it might say, and it'll be actually in the PDF I just made today. I'll be sending out tomorrow. It talks about you can if you're going to be sending out like specific, because I talked about like where I have some data gaps in mine. So you'll want to put like, this is your Arapahoe County, Colorado, and it'll tell you can come up with the nomenclature, the name of foreclosures, and that's your agent that's going to bring you those foreclosures every week. If you're doing 5 counties, you would want to have one for each of the counties that's going to get foreclosures or going to get tax liens, and have it go be specific. Some of my agents, like I said, the reason I have data gaps is I'm trying to bring in a lot more, all the information combined, because I'm limited. And I'm trying to show you guys, like, I'm trying to be able to build a market guide for you in Reno, whereas Fred's in Alabama, we got, different people in Don's in Georgia, Tanya's in Missouri, Jesse's in Massachusetts. So I have to build market guides, so I'm doing this for everything. So mine's at the top of the funnel, where I'm like operating up here, and you guys are down here where everything's coming out the bottom. And that's where you want to be specific with your, with your names, your naming. So on Arapahoe County, like I said, you can, it'll give you all the, reports online. But most of the ones here, and most of them in your area, unless they're Mayberry County or Mayberry's type of towns, it's going to give you they really can be sophisticated, but sometimes it's just the vendor can be different. You can have, like I said, 2 counties next to each other and they use different vendors. They don't all use the same vendors, obviously. So they might be set up different, look different, but the same information should be there because they're operating under a state statute, not a county statute. So it's just how they present it. So you guys want to look, they got the cure process, they got a first fee schedule, foreclosure forms. You guys are mostly going to want to work around foreclosure property searching reports. There's also the overbid information. They're not putting a surplus in, so remember, if you guys we'll go over that as surplus and overbid night. We won't come to it tonight, but we'll come to it and look at this at some point on how to do surplus and overbid. So here you got your different, you got the foreclosure reports. So you click on that, it brings you up to the 3 different types. You got your pre-sale list, you got your election demand notices filed, and you got a final sale continuance list. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to do the pre-sale list. So here you got all your different dates. So I can go right now and I can pull up the one that was yesterday. Here's my pre-sale list. So this is going to give you these properties. It's going to start with their foreclosure number, and you could take this, copy and paste it. You can actually just download the whole thing, save it as a PDF, go enter it into your add photos and files as a PDF, and then have it parse it according to your buy box. Are you looking for, what are you looking for? Because that's where you start the process. And then, like I said, we'll show you next week how to parse it and get it down to pulling the ARV, pulling the comps, doing the ARV, looking at rehab and scope of work. And then how the tool works, like in this kind of Arapahoe County, you can go back to the tax assessor because you're going to have the information in that screen, that sidebar that I just showed you for Arapahoe County. there's screens in here where you can actually then go pull up more information. Because like I said, here you've got it shows the publication Sentinel, so you can go look at the Sentinel Colorado, and you can find the public. You can go find their advertising because they're required to advertise it, and then you got the bid amount, $49,000. The deficiency is $134,975.22. Total indebtedness is $183,000. It gives all that information. It tells you it's the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority, which is a state agency, and it's got the APN, the PIN number. It's got all that information, so you can take this back into it, enter this, and to the clerk and recorder office, you'll be able to pull up all the information. The tax assessor, you'll be able to get all the information on this property that the county's ever had. You can get permits if they ever pull building permits for renovations, for roofs and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of, if you're ever doing it in Colorado, Colorado's probably the number two, outside of Texas, Colorado's number two for hail damage. And I tell you what, this area of Arapahoe County has been hit a lot. So you're going to find a lot of properties in our area where you're going to see a lot of hail, like permits because of new roofs. So you can pull all that information out of it. It's kind of cool that way. So that is basically your pre-sale list of that, and that's pretty cool. Then you can pull the different documents out of Arapahoe County. So let me go back to it, and so that's a pretty cool feature that you can go pull that kind of information. Let me try to get that. I'm trying to get out of this at Arapahoe County and offer. It's you guys don't have that problem. I have to work around the Zoom. So keep in mind when you guys are on here, you can go right back to the other two lists. It's harder for me to do that, to do this and manage the list. So let me do this stop share real quick, and I'll have to restart. Like I said, you guys don't have that problem. So like I said, you go to Arapahoe County, you can pull those different lists. So it's kind of cool that way. But like I said, I get all these. These are the different. Let's see if I can get them. Here's actually, I'm gonna pull up the top 25, and I'll kind of show you guys this before because we'll probably turn off at 6:30 because we went 90 minutes. So these are the reports I get. Now this is going to open a new chat, but when you first do it, it's going to always have your top 25 actionable opportunities. That is an agent, Curtis, that I run. I ask for the top 25 actionable opportunities, mainly because it's like almost like having a fast pass at Disneyland. It's like a faster. I might have 25. All of a sudden, these deals are really good. I may not even have to go to an AHJ. It's going to tell me, hey, these are really great opportunities. You know, my whole thing is really eventually to get these out to all of you guys, and basically on the group or something, on the Facebook group, is, hey, here's a list. These are really good hot opportunities. So it talks about Atom and PropStream and Data Tree. So Atom is the organization. You guys can look them up, Atom, ATTOM. That's where I get the foreclosure data when it tells me there's 35,000 foreclosures nationwide. They do it monthly. They're actually late right now. I think they're late because they come in on the holidays. We went from 30,000, just under 31,000 in October to 35,000 foreclosures in November. So I haven't got December yet. And it talks about like evictions via Odyssey. There's a program called a Portal Scraper. So we can use a Portal Scraper for 50 markets. We can scrape. That's actually the tool that I'm putting in place right now for you, Fred, for getting early distress intelligence, is being able to go scrape it. Or I'm going to be putting, you guys won't see it, but it'll, when you guys start asking for the EDI, the early distress, Odyssey will be working for it, because I'm going to be able to plug into it. We can also run against the post office for code enforcement, utilities, vendors. There's obviously surplus and overbid from sheriff and trustee sales. So we can pull the last 48 hours. Originally, like we were talking about probably a couple months ago, we're going to pull up 50 top markets, 6,513 zip codes that I was basically going to have my agents go out there and just check on. Maybe, like I said, when somebody joins from, Idaho, we're already know Boise and Coeur d'Alene, and I can almost build them a market guide because I've already seen what's going on there, what the AHJs are, what the laws in Idaho are, so I can build them that market guide like I did for you, Curtis, and like I can do for you, Tanya, and Fred, and all that. We can build a market guide, giving you like a cheat sheet to your AHJs and your local markets, and that's just a quicker way to pull in. But you guys will see this. It really, after a while, because I've done this list like 10, 15 times now, It'll actually, sometimes I have to go up and find the actual date of, this is what it sent me today. So it'll always give me that date, but sometimes, to me, I have to go find it. So sometimes I'll have data, you guys won't have data gaps because I'm not, like I said, I'm not going through and putting in some of the key things you guys are putting in yours. I'm basically trying to find that information to give to you guys to build yours out. And it's pretty cool. Most accurate, we got the core, we got the 50 market scraper. So you guys got the probate, you got FED, and I'll have to look up what FED is. UD is unlawful detainer, so I just tell people that because that's what it actually is. You got recorder notices, you got the sheriff trustee sales, the treasurer delinquent lists, the code enforcement vacancy portals, surplus funds. But you guys are like wanting to look at foreclosures pretty much primarily. That's low hanging fruit, and then you got into the tax liens. The rest of the stuff gets a little complicated because obviously probate. People got to use a lot more empathy when people aren't usually losing them. They're home because they're haven't paid their bills. It's like almost everybody's going to have to go through probate at some point, unless they have a really solid will. So I can get my counts, I can get my market in Zip, I can get a 48-hour window. You can go out and get notable new cases. It'll tell you a strategy, like I was saying earlier. It could tell you 80916 is kind of drying up, but 80917 has a lot of foreclosures right now for some reason. And you can go and find out why when you go to the HJ's website. You can go and you can even call them. Hey, there's a lot of foreclosures going on. And I always encourage people to try to contact the HJ. That's my top 25 roundup. I also know to do an agent to deploy to find out my top actionable Colorado stress properties. And this is giving me just straight out of Colorado, my jurisdiction. I'm running everything from Fort Collins, almost by Wyoming, down to Pueblo, south to Elbert, Arapahoe, and Adams County, east to Summit County, Park County on the west. Summit County is the first, about 50 miles west of Denver, where the first ski resorts are. So I kind of have a large area of those counties, and there's really no Mayberries. And Summit County and Clear Creek County can be. Summit County is obviously very affluent. It's a very ski resort. It's Breckenridge. As you guys hear about Breckenridge and Frisco and Dillon and all that. It's very affluent, like resort community. Clear Creek County is kind of in between Jefferson and Summit, and it's kind of some of Clear Creek's really nice, and some of it's just kind of like you're glad to drive through it, to get through it, either end of the highway.
Nate,
yeah,
that top 25 actionable chat that you have, it's an agent.
Yeah.
Do you have to tell it how to determine what the top 25 are, or does it just do that based on your buy box? Or
it's predictive. When your system is predictive, it'll know what you're looking for through your buy box and your markets, and that's pretty much, like I said, within that first 30 days. You've been on yours a lot, so I would expect you're probably going to be in the next week or so, 2 weeks tops. You're going to be like predictive. It's really hard to explain. I can actually ask it the predictive intelligence.
Oh no, that's okay. I was just curious how much
manual. That wasn't something I actually asked it for, but it is an agent. It's just I got one agent that's doing 2 or 3 things which you can do. Keep in mind, you guys want to dial in more. I'm not dialing in as much as like I said. It's a funnel. I'm up here trying to do everything, giving you guys so you guys have everything at that bottom of that funnel. That's when you're trying to get making cookies or cake or you're changing oil. What comes out, what goes into your oil. When you're
I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can because all this is so new. I just have questions about everything, and I apologize to everybody else. But
yeah, and I'm kind of like telling you guys that I've got some of my agents are doing more than what you guys want to be as specific as you can and detailed in your buy box. It's refining it. It's like an oil refinery. You're taking that crude oil and you're making that that top that premium unleaded. So that's kind of how you want to explain it. You guys want to dial in now. If you're doing something more nationally, it's harder to do it nationally. It's RCIC isn't going to limit you. It's limited on the GPT because of the amount of agents you have. Now we have more. I actually haven't seen how many we have with our business plan. I need to check on that because Jesse and I are both using it. But you guys have your 40 agents. Like I was saying, what limits us from being able to go get all 35,000 foreclosures is think about how many jurisdictions that's coming out of. that you got to be able to go and get all those. And you guys want to be specific. You really do want to have, if you have 5 jurisdictions primarily, you could set up another one that could do multiple. So like if you're in 5, but you like another area, you could run one that maybe covers 3 or 4 different counties or 3 or 4 different distresses. Because some of my distresses, it's bringing me foreclosures, I'm getting evictions on them. You could separate that down in one county and have one agent do foreclosures and one do evictions and one do tax liens. And it, because like I was just showing you, in Arapahoe County, foreclosures come out of the public trustee, tax liens are coming out of the treasurer and the tax assessor. So you kind of just, it's really up to you. Like I said, no two people are going to have the same system. You can deploy your agents as you want. What I recommend when you start is a few, prioritize them, and then build and expand. And then you kind of know what you need to do. That's why I said over about 30 days, you learn your system more over that 30 days, like what we did today on the one-on-one and what we're doing on the Zooms and stuff, trying to refine exactly what you're doing, and then it becomes predictive. Once it becomes predictive, it's like it's telling me things that I haven't asked for. Like it came one time and it gave me 4 counties. It was like Delaware, Atlanta, Arizona, and Washington State. And I'd like to. I'm gonna go back and try to find it. It's on one of these chats in my sidebar, and it was some pretty cool stuff. There was some stuff in like DeKalb County. There was some stuff in, like I said, Delaware, Washington, up in Yakima, places I've never even said anything except for the 50 markets, the 6,513 zip codes that it was scanning. A lot of people are like, you're checking that many zip codes. Like, I'm not getting the information from that many zip codes. I'm basically going out and trying to get the actionable, what's high. And it's dialed into some. There's some pretty good ones out there. I mean, it's told me like one time there's a house in Aurora, Colorado, which is Arapahoe County. There's probably just somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000 equity in the house. It's in a country club area. Obviously, I didn't do a deep dive to find out if there's liens or second liens and things like that on it. But I mean, I'm like, that's a pretty good one to pursue because there's probably going to be a little bit left, even if you got to pay some stuff off. So it gives you that kind of information. You can get strategies. They'll tell you strategies. I pulled up Beta 127, which is Littleton, Colorado, on the west, southwest Denver. It's right against the mountains. It goes into the mountains. Deer Creek Canyon. Lockheed Martin has a huge plant there. It's like top secret. You can actually see like rockets being driven around. It's weird how to explain it. But right across the street, there's a neighborhood of like $2 to $10 million houses over there, Deer Creek Canyon, and I ran that whole neighborhood. And it gave me some, like, these people have had their house for like 30 years. This might be a probate opportunity at some point. Why not send them a mail, something like that? Hey, if you're, I had a friend of mine actually in that area who was a Denver police officer and became a wholesaler as retiring, and he actually showed me a house there. It was like an airline pilot lived there, and his wife had passed away, and it was like in the house, and it was like the guy I could have bought the house for $1 million. It turned out to have about $3.5 million in value once the ARV. But at the time, I wasn't able to in position to do it. It was pretty sweet and pretty nice house built into the Red Rocks, kind of like Red Rocks Amphitheater. You guys, if you ever see the concerts in Denver, Red Rocks Amphitheater, there's the Red Rocks all around this property, and the guy had another 5 acres below it that could be built on. It had a swimming pool and all that. Pretty nice area. So I ran all the comps and stuff in that. I like to do that. That's what I do for you guys as well, too. A lot of times during the day, I'll pull in stuff I see in Facebook groups. Next week, I'll show you guys daisy chain detector. I probably looked at 25 or 30 properties in 1 week when I was creating that. And it basically, I was able to dial in and get all the information using the AHJs to basically go and dial in and find out what the wholesaler wasn't telling me. How would you like to be able to pull that property you see on Facebook, and all of a sudden, maybe you get 3 properties and you go there and one's really good, the other 2, the wholesaler is kind of full of shit, and you find that out through the process of being able to copy and paste that Facebook post, get a couple pictures, go to RCIC, and then you're able to go to Zillow and you actually pull up more pictures and more information. Go to the AHJ. Within 10 minutes, you know that wholesaler was telling the truth or not. It's a good property to pursue. You can do that with daisy chain detector. I was able to find some properties in Texas I was able to dial into one. It told me DR Horton built the house in 2022 or somewhere in about a 2-year period. They were building this model in Fort Worth, Texas. And I was able to find out. It literally took me about 15 minutes from seeing the thing on Facebook, just as a test. This was absolutely a test. I wasn't, I just wanted to see what it could do. RCIC can do more than what I'm able to show you guys on it. I'm trying to give you guys like the where to go. Like, here's your on ramp and your off ramps, and you guys can build on it. I'm just recommending that people do it in the process that it kind of is explaining. Like, don't jump in and try to, do all this in the first week. Do it, start, and then every week kind of build it, and then you hit that 30 days. It's predictive, and then you get into your own GPT, and it can do whatever you want. This thing is really unlimited. I'm literally not going to ever go back to anything that's static, meaning it's a website. I have to get an IT guy to make my changes, things like that. This is just it's totally blown my mind, and every day I get more excited about it. And especially when people onboard and they, like it, a couple of days into it, after they've onboarded, and all of a sudden the lights go on. Not their lights, the lights of all of a sudden they're seeing what RCIC can do, and it's like, holy, it's a whole different way to look at how you do things. And we'll get into home base at some point because that'll blow your guys' mind. We'll do it as a special event because obviously it's not real estate investing. You guys have your businesses. If you guys get home base, when we go to home base, you can be like, holy crap, I can do all that with home base. Like I said, I ran it as my Carfax. I got concert tickets. You can do everything with that. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. 3,500 preset prompts that in 35 categories. So it's pretty sweet. So yeah, I mean, like I said, and like we did one-on-one, Curtis, we can do those. I just have to, I gave everybody that 7-day schedule so everybody kind of knows when I try to do everything in the morning between 8 and about noon. Like, and I don't have my camera, but I can do one-on-one like usually right in the afternoon. I try to like to do them like we did today, right up before we do the Zoom, because I can start setting up for my Zoom, do my one-on-one, take my break, and do the Zoom. But we can do one-on-ones anytime anybody wants to do them. So, Fred, if you want to do one, Tanya, want to do one, let me know.
Yeah, we'll do. I think just as we're going through the night, I think what I'm going to do is put together at least my process for what I do now.
Yeah.
Shoot that over to you, and that way you've got it. And then that just have you kind of tell me how, okay, this is how we need to set this up for what you're doing, and especially getting the EDIs in place. Because Alabama's a little different. We don't have 100 days. If I get 50 days out of getting a foreclosure notice, that's a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure we dial into you get it not only early like what you can, like you want to do. We can. I just had to refine and name that process. But I mean, trying to get, and that's what I was trying to explain earlier, is trying to get you at that very first, give you all the time in the world, and give you that jump start ahead of everybody else. We're able to go.
Yeah, I'll shoot you the websites, and I'll show you how to filter it, like I do right now, and then kind of roll back in and say, okay, this is how you can keep doing that, but here's how to get out ahead of it.
No, exactly. And that's what you can do with it. I mean, you can literally just it's like you jumpstart everything, and then you've got all the processes and all the tools that I'll show you next week. And you get into all the lenders and all the stuff we have too. It gives you a lot of just you got resources, and these aren't things. These are things that you're able to do on your own. If you decide you want to go build onto it and do something, hey, I want to add this, you can do it. And like I've told everybody, the system is nobody can see you, Fred. You and you can't see what Curtis is doing. He can't see what you're doing, but what you guys are doing together at the same time in your own deals and your own ecosystems is actually helping everybody, because it's compounding the intelligence. It's actually picking up all that data and all that information. It's processing it faster, and it's learning you. It's learning your business. It's learning what you do, your buy box, your markets, and then eventually it's going to start outthinking. It's going to start outdoing you, and it's pretty cool. And you go into there's some other things you can do in here that will blow your mind as far as deep research. Like, if I tell anybody if you go to deep research, just prepare to be there for a while, because I literally, and because I play with it outside of real estate, just to kind of tell people that there's a lot of rabbit holes. My bucket list trip is going to a Guinness factory and going to London and Scotland and stuff, and I put in for because I know it takes 2.5 weeks probably to do that, to go see everything, because you're using the rail system over there and all that, to get around all those islands, England and stuff. And it took me 2 hours. But the thing about it is it shows you in progress all the searches it's making. So it's going to this website, and they flash, but they don't flash long. They flash enough you can see them where they're going. And all of a sudden it's taking me to bed and breakfast in Scotland that aren't in the websites. You would have to physically go on for hours and hours and hours and go show me this and this list, and then who do I check on? Now you're able to, just like a buy box, you're now able to go on and these are what I'm looking for, this is what I want, and go tell it what to do. Everything in RCIC, everything in the GPT, you tell it what you're looking for, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. It's going to come back and it's going to tell you that. If you're not happy, you can refine it. And people think this takes a lot of time. It doesn't actually really take a lot of time. It's just once you get the system down and people they get kind of like the prompts, like you can start talking. You've seen how I talk to it. Talk to it like a normal person. It'll actually talk to you like it talks to, because that's what I said in Model 4. A lot of people were like neurodivergent, or they were homebound, or they were using it to like write stories and things like that. And they got a little depressed when they went to Model 5, because Model 5, which we have 5.2 now, is more professional. It's more business oriented. So there were a lot of upset people. So they put a limited thing where they gave them back some of that capability. People like writers and stuff like that for creative. And they're trying to help people who are, because they didn't realize that was a core base of a lot of the free users. And I was a free user for about a year. I got the subscription just to build our websites. And I'm just like, this is 100 million times better, because you guys can take everything and just build onto it and build it your way. It's like Burger King, man. You can build this your way. If you decide you want to take it and do a GPT that's all, that basically is limited to limited to meaning it's yours, it's everything exclusive to what you're doing. You can do it and you can run with it. If you want to open it up, you can open it up. If you want to build a GPT that's public, you can have it public. You can have it private. You can have where you just have to give people links to get access to it. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm just telling you, I think and it's like my recommendation is just 30 to 45, 60 days, get to know what's going on now in RCIC, and then kind of get the ideas of what you want to do, because once you do that, it's going to be able to do everything in what you're doing, Fred. It's going to be able to build everything around your business, and it'll be able to go in a lot of different directions. And you get a lot more with the GPT. You get a lot more because you can put it out there in the GPT library that OpenAI has on ChatGPT. People can go there and do GPTs for everything, a lot of stuff. So it's pretty cool that way. And you can actually even monetize them where people can do a subscription that way. I was doing this before, because I set everything up to be, a lot of the people you guys, Jesse can tell you this, a lot of people have been in the group for some of them for 5 years in our associates group. So what everybody paid is pretty much what people have joined for 5 years. And we didn't have a lot of stuff going on. It was like networking. We were going to do a big capital raise right before COVID and help everybody, but that got kind of because of COVID. And then later on, probably 2022 to 2023, we picked up a lot of lenders. About the time Willie Ingram came in, and we got life-changing lending. And there were lenders. And I was looking to consolidate everything into one package, 3 websites, give everybody access to these, and then everybody outside was subscribed to the websites. This just came out of that. And it's just...
Yeah. No, it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I think I really like the direction it's going. It's, you mentioned Chris Voss earlier. It's funny. I was sitting down the other day, and I have a couple of his books, and I wanted to add Chris Voss and some of the other negotiator books into the GPT, and then help, I use this to help negotiating. And so I'm really curious, because I was going to have to upload a bunch of stuff, and I wasn't sure where to get it, but you mentioned it. And so I'm really, really curious to see how you're doing all that and being able to plug that stuff into it as well.
We have it in what we call comms mode, which we'll go over probably the second to last week in February. We'll do a Wednesday night on comms mode, because we're doing these Wednesdays with the modes. And I put in influencers, and basically a lot of people in history, a lot of people currently, like, obviously Grant Cardone. I put in Steve Witkoff, who's a billionaire. And Steve Witkoff, get politics aside, he's the guy that's been dealing with the Middle East and hostage arrest, all that stuff. He's working for the White House now. But he's in there. Obviously, Chris Voss, Gary Nesner, who was Chris's boss at the FBI, and he was the negotiator Waco. People ought to realize that he got pulled back to Washington like 2 weeks before the fire. They were trying to you're not getting people out fast enough, which he was. But side story, and I put in other people in there. I put in generals. I put in Walter Beetle Smith. A lot of people don't know who Walter Beetle Smith was. He was a 3-star general in World War II. He was the chief of staff to Eisenhower. So he was like the guy that managed all the operations. Eisenhower had to manage. He had to manage Patton, Montgomery, Bradley, and all them. and he's in there because he's a really historical figure. A lot of people don't know that he kept that whole infrastructure of the of General Eisenhower's staff together. I put in my great I don't know how many greats it is. He goes back to 18. My great grandfather was Chief Justice John Marshall, and he was Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and he was actually one of Thomas Jefferson's best friends and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool. And so he's in there. I put in J.P. Morgan. Yeah, and so you guys see that guy, you guys see the guy that I've been promoting, Jack Ledger, right? So a lot of people ask me, Jack, my version of Jake from State Farm. And so I made him up of 5 personalities. J.P. Morgan, he's got Mike Rowe, because everybody knows Mike Rowe, the Dirty Jobs guy. Dennis Leary, because I love Dennis Leary. He's my favorite comedian. And he's just dry and he's very direct. And then I put in 2 people that a lot of people don't know. But if you guys see that show, SAS Rogue Heroes, that was out on, it's been out as like a miniseries. Patty Mayne and David Sterling. Well, David Sterling started the SAS, which Delta Force got based off of, but they were in North Africa in 1941, even before Pearl Harbor. So those are 2 personalities that make up that Jack Ledger that I got those. It's pretty cool, and it's like he's supposed to have, it's kind of like my Uncle Sam, but my Jake from State Farm. But all these personalities in the comms mode that you were talking about, like I got Danica Patrick, Peyton Manning, we got Bill Belichick. You got people like that, like coaches, like these are high-level success people. So like we were talking about, like if you want to go talk to Chris Voss, it's going to pull all the public information and all the speeches and all the stuff that's public up, and you could go then learn how I can be empathetic to somebody maybe losing their house, and how I can write the letter and the correspondence and send it in his kind of tone. And that's kind of really important to me, because there are people that really struggle with that, and I thought about that. It's like, how do you go, especially when all these wholesale gurus are like, just go rip their head off. Well, it'd be a lot better if you can go and help people. You can actually still make a lot of good money, and you can help a lot of people. And so why not be Chris Voss? Chris Voss he basically had to talk guys out that are holding hostages that are probably going to go to prison for the rest of their life. And he has to convince them at that very moment that he's their friend, that he's trying to help them get out without the SWAT sniper shooting them and things like that. So I like Chris Voss a lot. I've never met him. It's always like, I don't know, never seem to get to the right conferences. But I put a lot of those people in there, over 100 people. And there's some people in there, like, I forget what her name, Kathy Wood. She's like a billionaire hedge fund manager, things like that. So there's a lot of personalities, male and female, all different walks of life, just so you guys can tap into them with comms mode. And comms mode goes further because, like I said, it helps you. Like, I want to run a text messaging campaign. How do I do it legally? Things like that. And the R6 also, when we talked about this earlier in our one-on-one that I did with Curtis, we do have the guardrails where RCIC will never give you legal advice, but it will take you to like the different real estate commissions in all 50 states, and it will take you to where you can get the information. So you can at least go and say, because it's all black and white, at least you can go say, hey, can I pull up this document for California or for Trek in Texas or Colorado? You go to Dora. It can take you to all those places. It can help you with everything, but it's never going to give you legal advice. So we put a lot of that in there. Like I said, I'm sitting at over 1,000 hours probably right now of putting the time into this. So it's really, like I said, it's just something that I didn't expect to build. This time last year, I was going to be building websites out of all the material I had. And I showed this last night. I don't know if you guys were all on, but Jesse can tell you right now. Jesse, how many documents and things that I have in my library? If Jesse's still on. He's left already. Jesse, he's in Massachusetts. He has kids. So, I probably have. I'll show you guys one time jokingly just how much stuff I have that I have. I'm literally only put like 10% of what I have in there because I'm like, I put in like a 400-page workbook. Not page by page, I just entered the workbook and it added it in like about 2 minutes. And it was there's a lot of the math, how to do cap rate, how to do everything is in there.
Well, Nate, are we able to do that kind of thing too if we have resources?
Yeah, you can do it on your own. Yeah, until you want to add it. You can build it. I think, Curtis, you were talking about it earlier today, you were doing something like that. You guys can add whatever you want to do. If you want to add it for the group, let me know, and I can add it to the whole thing. But if you just want to keep it to yourself, when you do it, ask it. If you want to build it, you want to build your own library. What I recommend is you do it with a Dropbox. say you open, if you have the free version of Dropbox, if you need the paid version, it's only like $12.99 a month. It'll actually help you organize it, set up your folder, set up your files, your naming system, and how to do it. And then it can access that, and it can help you load it. You can also do that with the Airtable and the other tools that I've talked about, Zapier, where you can automate it. But you can build a whole vault and library with anything you want. So if you want to add all your resources, because I encourage you, just add everything, keep everything. Don't add everything to like your documents on your computer. Just use Dropbox and use the resources. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. You can add all that. You can put all your stuff together. And then in that shop, I do have all those little that I was talking about last night. Patreon.com/ it's RCICAI. And there's a shop tab. I was going to look at that this morning because I know you mentioned you couldn't find it last night. But yeah, it's there. There's a shop tab. But like I said, that stuff is all in there. Every maybe 6 weeks, I'll go back and try to re-add stuff just to make sure it's still there. Because one thing that I do, and I do like to tell you guys glitches, like the best thing if you want to do image, like you guys see image generation request. Sometimes I'll still do images in the main canvas, but a lot of times I'll just ask it to a virtual prompt and I'll copy and paste it into my image generator. There's been less issues because sometimes there'll be typos. If you're putting a lot of text into a visual that's going to be this big on Facebook, it's gonna maybe sometimes have some typos. Well, I've reduced a lot of my typos by setting up my own chat just for image generation. But the other thing is, like, I've got all those little things that I put on Patreon and stuff like that. If you guys ever want those, you can get it to RCIC, but just tell me, hey, I want the RV park one, and I'll send it to you. Just like I said, it's just Word document or PDFs. I think one of them ended up being like 70 pages. Some ended up being like 20, but most of them are like 5 to 10 pages. And they're just Word documents. I mean, they're like nothing fancy. They're not real. I tried to make some cool covers because I was anticipating doing some books, but I mean, like, really it's just guides to help people. Here's some basics. The capital confidence pyramid, all kinds of different things. All the databases. You guys can also ask me. I got the 1.0 database. When we do Lender Ops, which will be 2 weeks from Wednesday, I'm going to actually show you guys, like, I got all my family office, my hedge fund, my pension fund, endowment funds. All together, we're sitting just under 20,000 contacts. Now, these are contacts, not firms. But we got about 5,000. We got lenders. Like I said, I'll show you a couple tonight before we log off. I'll show you just real quick on my desktop at least. So I got like, here, if you guys see this one, this says combined capital sources and lenders. I can send that to you guys. I don't know if you guys see it. I've got these are all these little books I got. Little things I made. This is, see, part 1, part 2, part 3, 4, 5. These are all my.
Is this on the Patreon?
A lot of these books are. These aren't, because these are things I've added. But like these books, these little 5-pagers or whatever are on Patreon. But if you guys go to Patreon, just tell me which ones. Don't get them there because then you have to go through that. You guys have access since you guys have lifetime everything. Just tell me if you want one of them. I'll just send it to you from my desktop right here. Like, here's.
Well, my phone's about to die, so I'm gonna sign off.
On the phone for like 4 hours today together.
Yeah, between the 2 sessions, but
Yeah,
appreciate it very much, Nate.
Yeah, anything you guys want, let me know, and I'll send it to you. Like I said,
Yeah,
2 weeks
okay.
we're gonna go. 2 weeks I'm gonna go over I'm gonna show you guys all the databases, all the finance, all the hedge funds and stuff we have.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, so that way people don't have a problem. They don't have to go find a broker and find a lender and worry about if they're real. Everything here is, and I'll tell you guys how I vet them, how they're vetted and verified. So they don't even really, yeah, it's awesome. I can't believe how thorough everything is. And it's going to get better and better because you guys are going to be adding all your stuff to yours, and it's going to make everybody else's. Even though I'll never actually see it, but it'll be making it better for everybody. Everybody's input. This is like a community. That's what I'm telling everybody. It's like a community. Everybody's kind of contributing without really. It's like passive contribution.
Well, good night, everyone. Be well.
Yeah. I'm going to go
See you down the road.
log off as well. We went almost 2 hours.
Yeah, good night, all. Hey, I appreciate it, Nate. It was really good.
Yeah, let me know Fred, when you want to do a one-on-one. The same with you, Tanya. If you want to do one sometime.
Right on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Yeah, have a good evening.
All right, guys. I'll see everybody later. Well, next Wednesday we'll be going over like deal analysis and the tools and ARV comps and daisy chain. detector. Cool. All right.